Hello, good morning or afternoon or evening, depending on when you are watching this. We're starting on a new painting. There's another painting that I have going that I fixed the drawing on, but as I look at it, I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to it. But it's hanging up, it's dry. I can work on it again at some point if I want to, or I can move on to another painting. That's another reason why I enjoy doing these smaller paintings. This is actually 7 inches by 12 inches. And they're smaller. I can usually complete them in a couple days, usually sometimes one day if I have the time in the day. But going from painting to painting to painting is, excuse me, that was probably really loud. I'm sorry about that. Going from painting to painting, if there's one that I just lose interest in, it's not like this huge ordeal that I prepared for, that got ready for, so I can leave it where it is and not be really kind of broken up about it. Also, if something goes wrong at the finishing of the painting, after the painting's done, after it's dry, and I put it on a panel and something happens there where it destroys the painting, or I try to varnish it and it destroys the painting. That doesn't happen very often. I'm not really broken up about the painting either. So they're not as precious to me as if I worked for 4 months on a painting or even a week on a painting. But anyway. So, on to a new painting, and I have an idea for this one. And it's very similar to what I was talking about on the last painting, where we did a compression of values. You may have remembered this, my value range that I was using. I want to do something like that with this painting, but a little bit different. And you can see, let me double check that you can see the iPad well. Yes, you can. So here's a figure, but mostly not a figure. All you can see is just knees, a hand, and the top of the body. The original photo has the full figure. You could see the head, the person's head and everything. But I liked the focus on this fabric here. I had a lot of fun painting the fabric on the last painting, so I want to do the same here. But what really struck me about this painting, or this photo, was the difference in saturation between the body and the fabric. Both of them have completely different local colors. Local color is the color of the object. Like my paper here is gray, my drawing table is brown, this is black, your local color of things. So the local Caucasian reddish orange skin tones, and then the white and grays, or the white of the fabric. So they're very separate. And I'm going to push that separation. But I also want to introduce some saturation within the fabric or within the figure. I haven't really decided yet. It'll probably be the fabric because that's kind of the obvious difference here. And I think it'll be easier considering this is the first time I've done something like this. But I want to show you example as well. Oh, that's the Photoshop version. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. So this is a painting by Nicholas Uribe, and maybe I can move this even closer to the center so you can see it better. Nicholas Uribe, U-R-I-B-E. I've mentioned him so many times. Fantastic. And what I love about this painting is the face of the figure. This is his daughter, I believe. Has a completely different structure in color and light, hue than anything else on the canvas. Like the whole world is underneath normal circumstances, normal lighting, all of these flowers here, these sunflowers are subdued grayish sunflowers, and it's almost like she has soaked up all of the yellow that would be in a sunflower. And the entirety of her head is in a different universe of light. And it's like he treated the head as this separate being. Almost like, oh, this is from a separate photo where some kind of strange light is hitting her, and I'm just going to pull that yellow. It's monochromatic, I believe, in the face, like just some yellows everywhere, just monochromatic. And then everything else is a different universe of color, and just treating those things differently in some way. And all the saturations in the head, just this beacon of light. Like I could barely look at anything else. I try to look down here, and then whoop, I just get drawn right back up to the head. Really, really interesting. That's something I want to try with this figure. So either I'll keep all the grays, these different grays within the fabric, and then the warms within the background of the figure, and have two different universes. And it'll probably be where on my palette, I'm mixing up two different areas of color. All my warm colors would be with the figure in the background. And then I'll have separate brushes for the cool colors of the fabric. And then I was thinking, well, what if, Uribe, he took the head and he changed up not only that it's in a completely different universe, like it's a different painting in itself, but he also said, let's make it monochromatic, but with yellow. And I think it has a lot of relation to do with these sunflowers as well. To pull all that focus away from the sunflowers onto the head. Very interesting. But what if I do the same thing? What if I do something like Zoe Frank? So I've shown this painting off several times. I love it so much from Zoe Frank, where it's a figure and a table and all this kind of stuff, and it's painted monochromatically in all different types of reds. Very warm red, cool red, lighter red, darker red, and the values are compressed within it. So all of that within one. So it's like a completely different painting. What if I took a bunch of different reds monochromatically, and I used that for the fabric? So I'm doing the background and the figure in this one palette, and then the cloth in a completely different palette, and treating them separately, like two different paintings in one. I haven't decided exactly, if I'm going to do that type of saturation, that extreme saturation with a fabric. And it will be the fabric that's going to be the different painting, different from the figure. But we'll see. We'll see. So I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be really interesting to kind of see how I can make two paintings in one within that. But the first thing I need to do is draw this out. I mean, I don't have to draw it out, but I do want to. I feel like I need a drawing underneath. Okay, at one point in my career, I'm pretty sure, or in my skill, I'll get to a point where I could just start painting and maybe draw out with a brush a little bit and then just go from there. And sometimes it depends on the subject, but whenever I'm doing a figure, I want to get some things kind of on, right? I like how this painting is top heavy as far as weight and a lot of concerns. So I'm going to get that drawing down. But another thing I want to talk to you about is this surface. And yeah, and I know a lot of preamble to the beginning of this painting. Sorry about that. This is a cereal box. And you're like, what? Why are you painting on a cereal box? Well, when I feel like, okay, here's my theory or idea on things. And this is not the first time I've done this. I've painted on cereal boxes multiple times. We tend, especially as artists, we tend to want to get the best materials all the time, the best oil paints, the best pencils, the best whatever. And 99% of the time, it does not help us become a better artist. And through that, as I've gotten better and better, I find that I need less and less best materials. I find materials that work for me, and I find materials that work better even though they're cheaper in some ways. So, the previous paintings I was painting on Stonehenge oil paper, which I completely obliterate the necessity for it to be oil paper because I gesso everything gray because I like painting on gray. And it's unnecessary for me to have oil paper in that aspect. Years ago, I painted on Arches watercolor paper because I gessoed it gray, sealed the paper with gesso, acrylic gesso, sanded it, and then painted on top of it. Those paintings are doing really good right now, actually. But the cereal boxes, I tried this like weeks and weeks ago. Well, a few months ago, I think. And what's really great about them is if you paint on the surface of them, the cover of them where they printed the cereal box label, if you gesso on the label side, not the inside, the box does not, or the paper does not bow at all. It stays wonderfully rigid. Even 140 pound, 300 GSM Arches paper, when you gesso it, it will fold, it will move around. But this one doesn't. I only have to gesso one side. It's really nice that way. When I'm gluing it to panels that I make, it sits perfectly flat. I don't have to worry about any kind of folds in it. It's nice. It actually works better. I mean, the type of, let me show you this. I'm gonna peel it off. Actually, no, I have another one over here because I did the front side and the back side of the cereal box today. So this is the cover where they print like the label of the cereal box, and then this is the back, and I don't even have to gesso the back, and you can see it doesn't bow at all. It just stays really nice and straight. I did 2 coats of gesso and I sanded after that, and so to help the oil paint stick to the acrylic gesso even better, not that it has a trouble sticking to it at all. But that's what I'm painting on. Should you do that? I don't know. That's up to you. How about look at a few of my paintings that I've done in the past and decide if you're okay with this. I mean, there's a tendency for us to think, well, if it's not artist grade, it's obviously going to only last for like 5 years and then break apart. I haven't found that to be true at all. Paper is paper in a lot of instances. As long as it's thick enough and you coat it right, you can separate that paint layer with a nice gesso layer from whatever surface it's on. It's almost like many paintings, archival or old paintings. You know what, while I'm talking, I'm gonna start drawing. Many old paintings were taken off the canvas because they need to be restored in some ways. And if you've ever seen that process, I haven't really seen it in person, I've watched some videos on it, but they actually peel the oil paint off of the canvas. Isn't that crazy? It's like you shouldn't be able to do that, but there's a separation between those layers, and they're able to remove the canvas from the actual painting and then replace the painting on top of a different canvas. Like if the canvas gets really old or starts to fall apart, to keep the painting. Of course, they do this for really old, very important works, right? That they want to keep for millennia, hundreds or thousands of years or whatever. But there's that separation, okay? And do I care that if this painting that I'm working on right now, if it lasts for 200 years? I really, really do not. I'm not going to do things that will make this painting die in 100 years, like completely fall apart. But I think that the important thing is doing the painting however you can get it done in enough archival quality that it'll last for at least 50 to 100 years or whatever. After that, you know, I'm long dead, and most of the people that would even care about my work are probably gone as well. And I'm, you know, it's not a big deal to me. I'm not worried about that. I think many of us care too much, because I did in the beginning. I cared so much about the archival quality of everything that I didn't think about, well, am I making paintings that are good enough to worry about that? I'm not sure if I'm even making paintings right now that are good enough to worry about 200 years from now. I have no idea. So I do the best I can with it. I don't get too crazy on it, because believe me, you could get really crazy on it. You could spend, you know, a couple $1,000 just to set up, you know, your painting. You know, you get like some archival crazy linen canvas, and then you put your rabbit skin glue on it. You know, got to get the rabbit skin glue heated up. Ugh, I hear there's a lot of horrible things with that. Then make your own gesso, put that on there, let that sit for 6 months or whatever. Make sure it's on metal stretchers that cost $100 a bar or something like that. Several coats of gesso, sanding in between, and now you're all prepared, right? You could do all that if you want and have this perfectly archival surface. That would completely cripple me, honestly. If I spent a couple $1,000s on just setting up the surface for a painting, I would be shaking. Like, oh my God, this needs to be an amazing painting. Because if it's not, I've wasted all that money, right? So I like painting small. I like painting cheaply. And I like trying to make the best paintings I can make first, and then worrying about how long it's going to last after that. So that's me. Okay, I'm going to continue drawing this out. I'm going to try and get some paint layer on this today. I only have 30 more minutes to work, so we'll see. We'll see. But I'll come back after I speed this up. See you in a bit. Okay, it took me a little bit less than 20 minutes to draw this out, and I think I have enough detail in here to go from to begin the painting. What I'm thinking about right now is, much like this painting, is there's a big enough separation between the saturation and the hue choices within the face and the rest of the painting to separate it out into its own universe. And if I'm looking, or when I'm looking at this, if I do, you know, the warm tones that you see here within the figure and the warm in the background, and then I do just all grays, let's say basic grays, even Payne's gray and white, which is, you know, pushing a little bit towards blue. If I do those two, I was thinking that would look exactly, you know, it would just look like a grayish blue sheet, right? It wouldn't push it beyond this whole separate universe. I mean, I want this to be universe 999 and this universe 123. I don't know. I'm thinking about like the Marvel universes and the differences between them. You know, I want this to be, I don't know, X-Men, whatever, X Factor, you know, back in the day, the X Factor, different universe. And then this to be the Spider-Verse, you know, and the different art styles between them. Something really separated. So I'm thinking, okay, what would do that? Would the red, if I did the monochromatic red like Zoe Frank, where it's just tremendously different, would that separate out a lot? And I'm thinking it may not. It may not, because we all can envision the fabric having this really crazy local color, like a very neon kind of color, and we could say, oh yeah, it was just a neon piece of fabric. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. And I think I'm not going to know until I actually try, until I actually do it. And try and push it as far as I can. So, considering that I got this idea directly from Nicholas's painting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick ooh, I kicked the camera. Hopefully it's on. Yeah. I'm trying to move around the camera. I'm going to pick several different hues of yellow. I have a bismuth yellow, a yellow ochre, and oh man, I have some more yellows, but they're in a different box. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now, I don't know why I said that, because for you it was nothing. It was just one to the other. I have all kinds of different yellows. Look at this. I mean, this is how oil painting can get so expensive, right? And this isn't even all of the yellows, okay? I'm pretty sure you can have many more. Bismuth yellow, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow light, Hansa yellow light, radiant yellow, Indian, did I say Indian yellow? Yeah, Indian yellow. All kinds of different yellows. And it's ridiculous that you can have this many. Honestly, if I had cadmium yellow light or Hansa yellow light, probably cadmium yellow because it's opaque, I could probably make everything else. Maybe not bismuth because that's so bright. Like if I had these threes, the other ones would be unnecessary, I think. I don't know. And I probably don't even need that many to do, well, I know I don't need that many to do like a yellow, just like Uribe has done in his painting here. I mean, look at that. He probably used bismuth yellow and then mixed it with whatever else he had on his palette at the time to get different variations of yellow. And that was it. You know, maybe these two, bismuth yellow and yellow ochre, would be enough. But it would be interesting to kind of see how cadmium yellow light or even Indian yellow looks, you know, in comparison to those other paints. Let me see. Oh, geez. I haven't used Indian yellow in forever. This is why you should always have in your paint box a wrench. Because a lot of times these paint tubes, I mean, look at that, that's an orange. That's not even a yellow. Can you see that on the camera? I hope you can. Yeah. Let's put it next to the other yellows. This is Indian yellow that I just put down, and it's dripping. Its binder has separated. You see, here's yellow ochre. So you can see it compared to yellow ochre. And then here's bismuth yellow. Oh my goodness, what is going on? Yep, that's part of oil painting sometimes. The binder that's in the paint will separate out. And I need to soak all that up before it runs down my entire artboard. Yay. Okay, I'm putting a lot of this out on a paper towel first so to soak up all the oil, and then on my palette. Look at the difference between those two yellows, holy cow. I could probably get Indian yellow if I mixed bismuth yellow with a little bit of my naphthol red that's there. Maybe, not sure. And then let's look at, oh geez. This is Hansa Yellow Light, right next to bismuth yellow. And I lost the cap, it fell down. Okay, that's gone forever. And then let's check out Cadmium Yellow Light as well. What? Like, what's the difference, right? And then Radiant Yellow, which I don't know why I bought this tube of paint, because all it is a yellow mixed with white in a tube. I mean, maybe it has different working properties. Maybe all kinds of other stuff. And maybe I'm wrong. Wow, that looks very different. It's almost like an orange mixed with white. Look at all those different types of yellows, including the yellow ochre above it. And then if I have all of those those hues, I need to make sure that I keep my language similar throughout, because it could be confusing. A lot of times people use tone for value, like this, they'll say tone instead of value, but anyway. Oh, look at all those different hues. There's probably different, well, I know there's different working properties between all of these paints. For example, Cadmium Yellow Light is opaque. That's why I have this big O on there, because I wanted to, at some point, the opaqueness or semi-transparent, ST for Hansa Yellow Light, or transparent for Indian Yellow, you know. Good to know that for different types of glazing. I'm not sure. I'm looking at bismuth yellow. It doesn't really say on the back of the M. Graham paint if it's transparent or semi-transparent. It looks semi-transparent. Radiant yellow, it looks opaque to me. Could be semi-transparent. I don't have my glasses, so it's very difficult to read the back of these tubes. Anyway, they have different working properties, so that is one thing definitely. But by looking at this, and if you were at the art store and you were thinking, you know, I need to do a painting that has some yellow in it. I'm doing some sunflowers. You wouldn't, I mean, between bismuth yellow, Hansa Yellow Light, and Cadmium Yellow Light, you are basically getting the same exact color, just maybe different working properties between each one. And how much does that matter to you? I'm not sure, but I'm getting off topic here. The main purpose for me putting all this out was trying to get an understanding of what yellows I have, number one, and if it would be separated enough, like its own universe in this fabric versus all the warm stuff in the background. Because if I mixed up warm colors, it would be from the palette that I have now, or that I have set up now. Where is my burnt sienna? This is going to be utilized a lot within this painting, I'm sure. Let's put this burnt sienna out. I mean, even close to these yellows, I mean, it's pretty far away as far as distance, but you can see how red the burnt sienna is in comparison. It's tremendously red. And then I can put out my Payne's Gray as well, which is always good if I wanted to make a bluish gray. So it's my palette plus a ton of yellow. And I think as long as I keep all of the skin tones, the brownish colors and everything as far away from yellow as I can, all in the red areas, reddish brown, because there is a little bit of yellow in those. Maybe a little bit of yellow ochre with Payne's Gray to go into that greener area, which is getting close to yellow, maybe here in the figure. Maybe it wouldn't bring it too close. But we'll see, as long as I can keep those separated, I think it'll be good. And I would love to start on it right now, but unfortunately, I'm out of time today. Oh, time is always the thing, you know, when we're trying to get to what we love to do. Time is of the essence, and it's so important and so limited all the time. That's why I say, you know, set a minimum, have a minimum, try and get to your minimum every day, because so many busy days all the time. And if you have this minimum, at least you're making progress. And that's what's super, super important. Consistent progress moving forward, even if it's little tiny steps in multiple days. Okay. That is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Check out my website, chrisbevan.com, to buy all my artwork. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.